Yep.
I just closed the little thing, the slide for the so.
Can you go check the streaming? Can you go to the link that Elise sent you yesterday and just try to see if it actually works? Yep. That
Why
is.
is it always on an iPhone? Why don't you just stream it from? Is there
I
no way to
don't
stream it for now?
I believe there's a way. My school do that. But I mean, oops. Shouldn't talk here. I mean.
Why is it not focused on the? It's offline.
Focusing is a bit funny. Wait. Is it connected to my hotspot? I am live, thank you.
It's offline. It's offline, Mark. Why is the live stream not working? Just
this is
use your data.
Very bad. I am on my data.
Oh, it's here.
It says that it's on very bad connection. I can't tell.
No. It's just a different link now.
Is it a different link?
Yes. You have to send a different link.
I'm telling you different things, just come.
Very bad connection, thank you.
Hello.
How's it going?
Elise, can you try to click that link?
Yeah, sure.
It's not because we have. It's a different link that's working. It's a different link.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Hang on, where did I send it?
Hello, right now, if you're on the stream, we're just having some technical difficulties getting everybody onto the stream currently because everyone has a different link.
Hello.
See, it's offline. You go to the YouTube channel. It's there because this is the one that is the proper one. Come on.
Why is it different?
I don't know.
Come on, buddy.
Return the microphone.
Presentation.
It
You want to
Return-
share the presentation?
Can we turn the microphone off? Did that work?
Maybe. Oh, streaming will start soon.
Oh, yeah.
Can you take this out too, Elise? Thank you. And also, one more. Oh. It's fine.
Failures in what we want to learn with the guidance of our educators. You'll see two kinds of projects today. There are modules and there are personal projects. Modules are teacher designed and they facilitate that learning process for the students. Personal projects are designed and followed through by the students so that they have a way to work their passions into their work. But what is the showcase? Why are we all here today? So the showcase day is basically the event that we've been preparing for since we got to that country. All of our students are going to present the personal projects that they decided to create or what they're going to do for other countries. And the modules are going to present what what they did this term. The modules that we have in India were India's path to sustainability that focuses on water, e-commerce that's doing like a business plan, and the last one, Zero to Infinity, that is pictures of math in India's life. A quick run through for the schedule today. We'll have some students presenting personal projects. Then we'll have the e-commerce module doing their pitches. We'll do a few more of the spoken personal projects, and then we'll go outside again in case you missed anything, and then we'll head upstairs for all of the booths. There will also be a presentation right when we get up there. For now, we're going to have Jamie, the head of our school, talk to us for a little bit. Jamie?
Wow, I'm really impressed by the turnout. A little taller than the previous announcers. Music cordless, great. India is a land of contradictions, a juxtaposition of the extreme. From the chaos streets of Mumbai, you've all walked those streets, to the serenity of the monasteries in Varanasi, to the display of the extreme wealth, to the harsh reality of abject poverty. For a 2-month time, Changemaker students called this place their home. They were welcomed by the locals and people, and we have much gratitude for them. They delved into the community exploring through projects, unlike most students ever do in the schools that they attend. They explored projects in the many facets of the Indian culture, history, and environment. It is either said that you have a strong love of India, or you walk away from India feeling indifferent. But any way you feel about India after you leave, you are moved and touched in ways that you will only begin to fathom weeks, months, years from now. And the experience will not leave you untouched. Right. It is why TGS picks it as one of our destination countries. It is critical as global citizens that we experience one of the fastest growing countries in the world to gain an understanding of its people and their place in the world. Today I'm very excited to witness the authentic learning that our students have completed this term. To celebrate not just with our own students in what we call the TGS bubble, but actually with parents. Joe's here, our founder, and members of the community who have been so welcoming to our students and our school. So without further ado, I welcome you to our India Showcase presentation today, and I want to thank you all for welcoming us with your warm welcome into your community for us. So thank you so much.
All right, next up we have Adnan, who is our principal. He has been with us through the good and the bad through our projects this whole term. Adnan.
You've done it. You've made it today. It seems like it was almost just yesterday that we landed in Mumbai. We waited for you for hours to get through that immigration. You know, good old sweaty and whatnot, giving you the hugs, and you're wondering where in the world you were. But it was all worth it. It was a busy term. It was a term that challenged our patience, that challenged our community expectations from each other. It was a term that challenged our knowledge and preconceived notions of India. And I'm glad that you all are now here today to showcase that. You all showed grit, Meraki, a few tears along the way, inevitable. TGS is a place that as a student, as a teacher, as an educator, we encourage you to pursue your passions. We encourage you to believe in yourself. Because we truly believe that if you develop a passion for learning, you will never cease to grow. And today is about that. It's about your growth, It's about your learning. It's about showcasing the process as well as the product that you created at the end of this term. We're all very proud, and we want to celebrate you today. But before we do that, there's a few people I really want to recognize and give props to, your educators. Maria Valle and Michelle Marshall with Sustainability Module. Nick Martino and Adam Sturman with the e-commerce module. And Lindsay Clark and Matt Cook with Zero to Infinity. Thank you guys for all your hard work, all your efforts that you put in, your guidance, your relentless work with our students. Everything you've given to them and everything you've really worked with them on this term and term in Botswana, absolutely amazing. So thank you for everything that you do for our students. Especially thank you for dealing with those deli bellies a few weeks ago. Finally, I also want to acknowledge a person without whom this showcase really wouldn't have happened. Elise. Elise, come on. Hours of work, hours of running around Mumbai, and together with Karen Corral putting it all and making it happen, so thank you both. Enjoy the day, learn from each other, and continue to explore your passions and learn. Good luck to it.
Thank you. That was really great. Now we're going to start learning from each other, and our first student is Julia. Julia is from Mexico, and she's going to talk to us about breaking paradigms. The title of her TED Talk is How Shiva Brahma and Horseback Riding Taught Me to Be a Skeptical Believer. Hello. I did horseback riding for 8 years. And even though I no longer call myself a rider, it is a big part of who I am today. When I was 9 years old, I got my first horse. He was a dreamy Welsh pony named Humo Blanco, which translates to white smoke. He was stubborn and old, and with the help of my trainer, he taught me the basics of riding. As I grew older, I became more and more passionate about show jumping. Traditionally, this meant it was time to invest in a professionally trained jumping horse and upgrade to a more renowned coach. While 3 of the young riders in my area did start acquiring horses from prestigious breeding ranches around the continent and hired the best trainers available, my family didn't have the money to make such extravagant investments, which resulted in us drifting away from a focus on launching my career as a competitor, and I would instead concentrate on perfecting my technique to train my own horse with the help of a team. When I was 11, my parents decided it would be reasonable to invest $800 on buying a horse from a small-scale trainer in a rural area of my town. I named him Cid Campeador, as my grandma suggested, based on the classic poem Mio Cid. And I liked it because Campeador means outstanding. When we bought him, we hired a trainer who had bred him and was still teaching him the basics of riding. Neither of them had any experience jumping whatsoever. Adapting to our possibilities, my parents found their own way to boost my growth, by having the courage and confidence to support me to experiment without following a formula. Our choice was bold, because we were defying a fundamental guideline engraved into the sport. There was the assumption that under no circumstance should a novice rider like me train with an inexperienced horse like Cid. This statement disregards completely that every case calls for different measures, and we can't afford to be so rigid. When we bought C, under the lens of sportsmen, my horse didn't have any value. This is easily solvable. You can mold the capabilities of the horse to accomplish certain characteristics. The real issue is that there is a tendency to restrict the value of horses to their market price, which makes of the sport no more than a business. And this causes riders to miss out on experiencing the holistic existence of horses as living beings by limiting them to be only merchandise. This circumstance gave me a chance to experiment generating value instead of acquiring it as if it were something alien. As I pursued my passion, many people strongly disagreed with my method. The main cause was a popular paradigm that sprouts every time something has been around for long enough. I think you'll recognize it immediately. When the question is why, the answer is because it has always been that way. Experts threatened us with the prediction that I would feel overwhelmingly challenged and stop riding out of frustration. Meanwhile, I built an incredible relationship with my horse where I played a big role in shaping his personality and expanding his abilities. More specifically, I was the only rider that jumped him throughout his years of learning. In November of 2014, after 3 years of devoted riding and overall outstandingly fun experiences, a milestone competition took place. It was not my first official competition. What made this show stand out was the participation of 3 other riders and of the 3 other young riders in my town that had followed the traditional scheme. That day, not only were my team and I qualified, but we had the necessary tools to balance speed and precision during the first round and jump-off to deliver the best performance and win first place. This accomplishment wasn't about having jumped over obstacles fast and successfully. We had defied the expected outcome of questioning the vitality of the traditional system. These were predictions that had limited a lot of riders before me. So many passionate individuals had actually stopped riding because they couldn't keep up with the financial cost of that system. Before me, rarely would anyone dare to diverge from the only recipe offered, one centered on riding to train, training to compete, and competing to win. In conclusion, the proposal is a practice that revolves around winning in a sport where every competitor but one is a loser. A promise that is rarely fulfilled, just like those involved. That competition season, we demonstrated to have escaped standardization by getting to the same place, taking a different route, harnessing the potential within everyone involved. The horse had grown in many aspects as well, but to show contrast, his market value increased, and I got an offer of $13,000. That's 16 times what we bought him for. Whereas usually when a young rider gets their hands on an experienced horse, their value in the market only decays. I refused the offer because he's so much more than a prize within a broken system. Now, he's my brother's first horse and a member of our extended family. That was the story of how I found so much depth inside an empty trophy. Here in India, I came across the concept of Shiva and Brahma, 2 gods in the Hindu triad. They helped me develop a broader conceptualization of that previously expanded knowledge. Shiva, the 3rd god, is also known as the Destroyer. I'll start with him to banish any sense of hierarchy because of numbers. His role is to destroy the universe in order to recreate it. Brahma, the 1st god, is also known as the Creator. Applying the law of conservation of matter, Shiva doesn't destroy matter. He deconstructs a materialization, turning it back into its essential material, like turning a clay sculpture back into dust. He provides the materials and makes space for new things. Brahma generates value by molding ordinary materials into a contemporary materialization. He is the definition of an artist at its finest. This cycle prevents the world from saturating and becoming stagnant by allowing movement through transformation. These gods represent balance and emphasize the connection between the creation of beauty and the destroyal of it. The creator and the destroyer are collaborators, not enemies, and they are equally necessary. We have to learn to embody Shiva and Brahma, destroying structures in our lives to make space and time for innovation.
Knowledge is the way we structure our understanding of what we experience, allowing us to create what we are lacking out of transforming what we already have. Inevitably, knowledge that once empowered us will become limiting. When this happens, we have to apply the concept of Shiva. The most significant part about him is that his third eye is open. What this represents is that through our two eyes, we can only see the physical world. The third eye allows us to see something beyond this dimension, such as potential and possibilities. We have to pick our perceptions apart to make vacant space and material to bring concepts into the physical world and forge value. Imagine you are an artist that molds sculptures out of clay. You are given 1 kilogram of clay to work with for the rest of your life. You create a sculpture of the idea you find the most relevant and that seems crucial to communicate. Let's say you craft a sculpture of a butterfly emerging a cocoon to represent there are many chances to transform. You put this sculpture on display, and when the message lingers in the thoughts of at least one spectator, the impact will be done, and it will be enough to influence the domino effect of infinity. The essence of your art piece will survive on its own, because a sculpture is only the medium, not the end in itself. Naturally, you will imagine another idea that you will desire to share. You will have to prioritize the pursuance of bringing it into the world and recognize the need to destroy your previous sculpture. In this case, the butterfly escaping the cocoon. To refine your dialogue with the outside, you have to believe in the value of destruction and be skeptical about the accuracy and current importance of past creations. Don't fool yourself and compromise your progress by conforming to think, if I had the clay, if I had the time, I'd do it. The clay is always there. You just have to dare to feel the discomfort of detaching from tangible things for the sake of what you can't see with your two eyes yet. So shatter the shape of your sculpture, making it dust, and you will experience freedom to imagine and create. That is why we should challenge assumptions, so that our art doesn't counteract our growth, to defy restrictions and harness potential, so we can forge value by navigating change, advancing by adapting, because the only thing that is constant is change. This will be easy if we can remember to be constantly skeptical about the veracity of our perceptions and predictions, so we can prevent them from becoming restrictions. In this way, we will have the ability to update our statements and refine the accuracy within a transforming world. Lastly, through the hecticness of all that change, we should always see the Brahma in ourselves and believe in our capacity to generate value out of dust. That said, if this idea doesn't empower you, don't take my word for it.
Ever since the invention of vehicle horns in 1920, as a new solution was posed, another problem was born. Excessive honking. Today, especially in metro cities, where many vehicles produce so much noise pollution, road rage, and stress, where all this noise is heard for safety precautions, where safety slowly shifts towards annoyance. So when I first started off in this project, I wanted to create an alternate car honking system that could potentially reduce honking. However, as the days went past, I started to realize that the time frame was becoming a concern. So I reconsidered and decided to about the causes of honking and the psychology behind it. After this, I wanted to write an article about why people honk, and that became my summative piece. So the steps I took to create this piece was through the timeline of 4 weeks. So during the first week, I did intensive studies about the car mechanism and the reasoning of why could possibly people want to honk, because I personally didn't understand it. So in the second week, I collected data while measuring the number of cars that went by in an intersection of a road, to the number of car honkers, to the number of excessive car honkers. And in the third week, I created a survey, and that was then sent out to Sagar's colleagues to provide me with more data while I was still collecting data on the streets. The end goal was to make a primary source of an article that, by adapting to the argument that the survey responses had given to me. So, what exactly is excessive honking? When is it considered excessive? The people's definition of excessive honking may vary from person to person, but 61.8% of the people from the survey responses have agreed that honking becomes excessive when you honk more than once every second. So why honk? Why does this happen? Why do people honk? Well, the peer pressure of when 3 cars start honking, this often leads to more honking in the vicinity. Just like when you see a group of people studying and making productive work, you yourself will feel like doing work because you have a lot of pressure on you. May it be stress, may it be motivation, and many more. The same way applies towards excessive honking. It starts off with something little, with someone having a bad day. And he or she honks more than he's supposed to. And so that causes the car in front to get annoyed and honk at the next car. And all of a sudden, everybody's having a bad day. And not only does this have a bearing on road rage, but the feeling of being trapped is the source of what causes excessive honking. Turns out if you're frustrated or furious by being stuck in traffic for a mere 3 minutes without good Wi-Fi, you're a perfectly normal person. This is a normal instinct response. For example, if a lion were to be suddenly trapped in a cage and restricted movement, it will roar rather loudly. Conveniently, if a human were to be restricted movement within a vehicle, it will automatically try to break free of the situation by honking excessively. However, know that when you use the term stuck in traffic, oh, I'm stuck in traffic, you yourself is traffic. If you weren't there, who knows? There might be less traffic. So, in addition to this, using the data collected over a span of 2 weeks by recording the number of cars and car honkers by Lincoln Street near KFC, I found out that nearly 2 out of 3 cars that come through the road honk at least once. Taking into consideration of human error and the inability of recording every single car honk, the data has been rounded and estimated approximately, and these are the results. Due to the many responses that I collected, I was able to gain a better understanding of what people thought, and the many perspectives that they gave me was all put into consideration. This graph here was one of the sample questions to ask about what excessive honking meant to them. So you can see many variations of what each person thought. With that being said, I have discovered that people have had some response biases over the survey. Though the majority of people, being 87.3% of all agreeing that while excessive honking is not necessary, they all, 51.7% of that same responses replied saying they honk when they want to. This results in more complications, telling the survey conductor that the people are having responsive biases of themselves. However, these are the results that have been used to make my primary article piece, which will be available online to you. Yes, thank you.
That was super interesting. Thank you so much. Now we're gonna go with one of our
modules presentations. So through the past 7 weeks, the e-commerce module has spent time in Mumbai, Johor, Bangalore, and Pondicherry to understand India's economic rise. Working closely with the rural artisans and students were challenged to create 2 different businesses to sell the products that the villagers in the rural areas of India do. Today, they'll pitch those businesses to a panel of experts. Those experts are Joanne McPike, the founder of Think Global School, the chair of its board of directors, Deepa Krishnan, the founder of Magic Tours of India, and the sorry, I'm having a hard time reading this. Avyumnaya? I think that's how you pronounce it? Avyumnaya? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. And that's a non-classroom initiative of S.P. Jain Institute of Management in Mumbai. And finally, Jamie, the head of our Think Global School, that talked to us a minute ago. So first, we're going to have a presentation of the 2 student companies. The Kala collection is going first, and after them, the experts will give them some feedback, and then the Ed Art company will give us their presentation.
So, good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to introduce you to the answer to social responsibility in luxury brands. Can you go back? I proudly present to you the Kala collection.
According to Nielsen's annual Global Corporate Sustainability Report, 66% of customers are willing to pay more for the products that comes from a brand that are socially responsible. Today's consumer culture is changing, and it is just sensible that the entrepreneurs change along with that. That is where the Kala collections comes into play.
So the Kala collection presents a luxury business solution, taking the mission and values of a non-profit while occupying the responsible luxury sector of the market. In the words of the CSR guru John Elkington, the implicit promise in luxury is that the customer need not worry about anything. That also includes the ethical implications of their purchases. The Kala collection is unique in that it embodies this charitable mindset while still delivering high-quality, handcrafted goods directly to our customers.
To truly understand the impact of what we're doing, to truly understand the impact of the Kala collection, we'll need to look at these 3 questions. Who we're helping, what are we doing to help them, and why are we helping them in the first place?
So just keep this in mind throughout the rest of the presentation. This is what we're going to be asking for. This is the exact figure. We're going to go into further detail at the end on interest rates and return on investment, but this is the figure that we're asking for. And these are just a few pictures of the products that we're actually going to be selling. And they're also displayed up here in the front.
Sorry. Excuse me. So, there is a need for a healthy link between rural and urban. Whether we like it or not, we must admit that these 2 worlds are connecting. These 2 worlds will be connected to one another in one way or another. And it is our responsibility to truly unite the rural and the urban community while maintaining what makes each of these unique in its own.
So as an organization, we strive to improve both the lives of our customer base and our artisans. Through your direct purchases, the artisans are able to have a steady income, allowing them to stay in the homes that they have been in for generations and to continue doing what they love.
The Collab collection is the first step in creating this bridge between rural and urban. Through the medium of e-commerce, we connect the artists to the buyers, allowing the craftsman to generate an income while preserving the culture and creating masterpieces.
It is essential in today's society. That companies create real social impact, not just because it's what the customer wants, but because it's the right thing to do. Sorry, go back to the slide. So, moving on to our artist. Without our artist, none of this would be possible. So Raj Nakath, who is our artist, he started painting and discovered his passion for art when he was only 9 years old, and he has recently taken up Worli art when he realized that aspects of the culture of Johar village have been lost, and through Worli art, he has been able to maintain some of these cultures and these traditions while improving the living standard and taking some members of the community out of poverty.
And this is some good news. Since he started selling his work locally, Rajnakanth has seen huge success. His fledgling business has enabled him to invest in plastering his own home, and he hopes to soon inspire students at the village primary school to follow in his footsteps, bringing Worli art to the next generation. He is also looking to expand his audience to go international.
So we are dedicated to making this dream a reality, and we will bring his art to those that truly value it. So if we move on to our customer profile, who exactly we're going to be selling to, we're looking at primarily female, socially conscious, philanthropic, wealthy individuals that are well educated between the ages of 25 and 60 years old. That's our target audience.
And for marketing, we will be available on 3 main social media platforms, which is Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. But the only way we choose to market, the only way that we decide to put our money in marketing is through Facebook. Because we see that from our main customer group, they are most active on Facebook. And at the same time, not in the first year, in the later years, we're planning to host a gala dinner event, which will need some more invitation and catering costs, and we're planning to get our profits back from auctioning paintings.
So looking at our finances, so if you look at the first part, the products sold, you can see that the number of products we sell annually increases by 20. This represents a 16.6% increase, which means that we will be running at 200% of our original capacity within 6 years. We will be taking a loan out, which we will return within the first 3 years. So if you look at the revenue, it slowly increases by about $1,000 within the first 3 years, and then there's a slightly larger spike in the 4th year once we've paid off our debt. If you look at our gross margin, it actually lowers. This is due to increasing costs within the first 3 years, which we will explain in the end. We're working on a compounding interest rate, which affects this gross margin. And then in the 4th year, once we pay everything off, you see a 30% increase in our gross margin. Our expenses slowly increase. This is due again to the compounding interest rate and also the increase in the number of products purchased that we're going to be selling. Our net profit slowly increases as well within the first 3 years. And then we see a nearly 100% increase in the 4th year once we have paid off our debt. If you look at the profit margin, you can see that represented in percentages.
And let's look at the finances for the gala event. So our overcost, all the things that will cost us, the venue, the food, the invitation, will cost us around $5,000. And in each event, we're aiming to auction out 20 paintings, which will cost in total $10,000, which means we're looking at $5,000 profits from each of the events.
So if you look at our 2 primary revenue streams, we have the gala and the product sales themselves. If you can see here, the gala occupies 55% of our revenue. However, the majority of our profits will be coming directly from our products because there's a higher profit margin on this revenue stream than there is in the gala. A very, very important factor is that 80% of our profits will go directly back to the village.
So, as you said before, in our first step, we'll be selling our products through our web store, and that will be the only channel for now. As we grow and progress, we are planning to host a gala dinner that we talked about earlier, and also we are planning to make the ability to order a custom piece from the customer available. From the custom piece, both the customer and the artisans and the artist will be gaining profit, will be gaining a benefit. The customer will be getting exactly what they want, and at the same time, the artist will be gaining more money from what he's already doing.
So how are we going to stand out? How are we unique? Why should you buy our products? We are comparing ourselves on this chart to Tom's and Engrave. Tom's, you're probably very familiar with their business model. It's buy one pair of shoes, somebody in need gets another pair of shoes. Engrave is a media platform. Basically what it does, it connects artists directly to consumers. So while Engrave impacts individuals, Kala will impact entire communities. So we already, just with our first investment, we were able to provide brand new uniforms, which I don't know if you can really tell in the back, but brand new uniforms for the entire elementary school just from our first investment from the village.
And before we get to the most important part, in a way, we're gonna look at another very important part of our store, which is our online store, which will be the place where all the transaction is going and will be the main channel of communication between us, the business, and our consumers. Because of that, we designed the website to be easy to use to the customer, so the customer will feel just like home when they arrive at this, so they don't need to learn anything new. And at the same time, we are selling luxury products, and our website needed to present that to our customer, that we are a luxury brand, we are selling high quality goods. And the design will need to be simple at the same time. Simple in both the design spectrum and in the ease of use spectrum.
So moving on to the biggest bit. So we are asking for $13,500. This includes the startup cost for the company, it includes marketing, it also includes the cost for the gala in future years. That is included in $13,500. We will be working upon a compounding interest rate, which means that we'll be returning 5% interest in the first year, then moving on to 7% in the second, and 9% in the final year. We are offering you 10% equity, and your return on your initial investment will be $16,335, not including the equity. Thank you for your attention.
So this is kind of Shark Tank style. If you guys haven't got that, I don't know if Shark Tank is what the Indian version of Dragon's Den is, and also another name. So our panelists are going to ask some questions of the business roles up here.
I'm really curious on the 80% that goes back to the village. I noticed you had the school uniforms, but what's the structure for the village accessing those funds, and who controls that, and what happens to that money when it hits the village?
So we're hoping to link up with an NGO that works directly with the village, which we have already made contact with. So we will be running the majority of the funds through that.
Okay, and so will the local villagers have a lot of input into that decision of how those funds are spent in the village, or what kind of structures are you thinking about?
To my knowledge, they would have a lot of input on how that is structured. It basically depends on what the needs of the individuals in the village are.
So I was looking at the numbers in your spreadsheet, and I see calculation error. And perhaps you can help me understand if this is a mistake, or am I understanding something wrongly? Yeah? So you want to look at year 2 and see why subtotal is wrong here. I put a little question mark there. while you're looking at that, please explain to me why you picked Wadi art, and why do you think there's a market internationally for Wadi art?
All right, to answer your first question, that represents $200 error, so it would not significantly impact the calculations in general. So there is an interest for Worley art, which we have already seen through market research and exploring other websites that also provide Worley art. We're unique in the fact that we directly help out the community that produces these bits, and that's what makes us special.
So are your products selling at significantly higher prices?
They are. That's due directly to the fact that you're not just buying the product, you're also buying this uniform, you're also buying electricity for this person's house, you're buying renovation, or you're buying plaster for their homes.
So is there anything in the product itself that you have done? I understand that ethical sourcing adds to costs, I understand that. But have you done anything in terms of product design to make it easier for me to feel like buying something that's more expensive? Or are you saying that I can buy the same product but for a lower price if I don't worry too much about ethics?
You can't buy these exact products anywhere else in the market because we are the first people that are actually internationally going to be distributing these products from this exact village. Each village has their kind of own unique style and in the way in which they decorate their products and the paintings that they create. So in that they are individual. You cannot buy this exact product from this type of wood on another website because it just doesn't exist on that website.
And in a way, we are trying to emphasize on our website that we are selling like the better lives of the people in the village and the better version of you instead of like the products. We are not really selling the tray itself, but we're selling that if you buy the tray, the people will get something from the tray you bought.
I just have one question. Why do you include the gala in this? Why would you include the $5,000 expense with the gala when you have not planned a gala or?
The gala is supposed to take place next year. We're hoping to pass that on to the next cohort, actually, for that to be something that they organize. We're including it purely just out of the fact that from our pure profits, we're not able to give enough back to the village directly and still be able to finance this gala for the next year. So that's why we're asking for that $5,000, so we can actually help these people.
So you're saying your sales don't cover your expenses and you need donations in order to keep running. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not at all what we're saying. All of our sales directly from the products do cover all of our expenses, and we're actually in a surplus in the first year, which is very, very rare for most startups. So in that, we're already ahead of the game. But we want to be able to provide this sort of help and this better life for these people in the village. So that's why we're including that.
Do you want us to ask more questions or just let them survive this?
No, I think they've been fully. We can ask you guys feel good about bringing the next group up? Yeah. We do need the products back up front.
Mami, voy a poner mi computadora. Sí,
30 seconds.
Good afternoon. We are EdArt. We are a non-profit organization. And by the end of this pitch, we have convinced you as to why investing $15,000 of your CSR is the best use of your money. So I am the CEO. This is Adi. She's our designer. Harry is our wonderful secretary. Max is in charge of all our financials. Here is in charge of.
We got the amazing opportunity to visit villages like Jawar Village. We met with the people and we learned about the village like you will soon. And our goal is to empower local education in communities like Jawar and many others around the world while shining a light on traditional endangered art forms.
Also known as Chotyawadi, the village is located in the Johar region, a developing place where people don't have access to a good quality of life. So why should you care? Because the people there are subsistence farmers, they don't gain much profit from anything. Whatever they grow goes back to the farm. In other words, farming has become unreliable due to a number of environmental factors such as flooding, droughts, and many more.
So right now here you can look at this notebook right next to this really cute dog. And on it you can see Worley art. This is also displayed here. And as you can see, Worley art is made through geometrical shapes, so mainly squares, rectangles, triangles, all that. And it looks easy, but honestly it's really, really hard. We got the opportunity to work with the artist, and we created our own pieces of Worley. And it took us forever and ever, and it was really hard. But this you can see, it's done by a professional and looks really, really good.
More on the painting's background, it's an indigenous art form that symbolizes the sun, and the people worship the sun god, Adivasi, which is the name of the tribe, to have plentiful crops for the year as it provides energy and light. And with light, with hope. And we want to become that hope for them. We want to give them the good quality of life that they deserve.
So now we're going to talk some of the problem. So educational resources. Most kids in the Johar region don't get educated past grade 8. This is due to their farming lifestyle. And as farming gets more and more unreliable as time goes by, people are moving to the cities to find new hope, new jobs, new opportunities. But this comes at a cost.
So when these people have to move from their villages to the cities, the modern world doesn't really have space for their traditions. One of their traditions is Worley art. Worley art in today's society is taken by big businesses, copied and almost sold for nothing. That's why Worley art is an endangered tradition.
We would like to face this problem by selling traditional Worley art products, which will raise awareness of this art form that has been culturally appropriated and being used in a very commercial way. We want to right this wrong and help the Johar community improve their quality of life. However, focusing on education primarily in order to prevent rural to urban migration from happening. This way, we will be empowering the entire community. Our company works around 4 main values. We buy, we sell, we give back, and we expand. That is our cycle which our company is founded upon, and that is what ties us together to help the Johar community and much more.
So why should you invest in us? Why are we different from any other NGO out there that's probably more established than we are? Well, we're global. We're not going to be just working in one region of India. This year alone, we're planning to go to Japan, Spain, and Greece. And some examples of what we want to do there is in Spain, we want to help a culture called Basque, and in Greece, we want to go to help pottery because it's also slowly becoming a dying art form.
Like any other company, our money has to come from somewhere. We have 3 main revenue streams that would help support our company make an impact. First, we have profit from sales, which will be in the positive from the first year. Second, we have you guys, who will hopefully be interested in making a change by funding our company. And lastly, we have our benevolent donors who will donate to us and support our cause to make an impact on these communities, which makes up to a bare minimum of $1,000 per year.
So to further put ourselves on the map, we came up with a couple key activities. These activities will be done during the time of year where we feel like our sales are low or not that many people are donating. Basically, they're sort of a fallback, but one with very low overheads. So the first one we'd like to organize is during our first year, and it's sort of like a Starburst card, if anybody is familiar with that here. So every time you donate some money or you buy a product, you gain a point. After you've gained a certain amount of points, you get a free product. This way, it just gives a little bit of an incentive for people to buy our products and to donate to a very good cause.
Another activity we came up with is the Dollar for a Dump campaign. This campaign is all about raising awareness to our cause and our NGO. It works very simply. Basically, every time you take a number 2, you donate $1 to our NGO to support our cause, which of course in return will go back to the community.
During our second year, we would like to organize art classes. So of course our NGO is very much based, once again, no. It's based on education and giving to education. So what we would do is we would bring an artist from whichever country we're in at that time to give classes to locals, to give classes to students or tourists about an art form that they're passionate about. This way it connects both the artists and the people who are buying the artwork together to create a bigger community. The reason why we're not organizing this in the first year is because we don't have the platform to do so quite yet. We don't have enough customers. But we're really excited to partner up with Reality Tours, which is a touring company here in Dharavi. And we would advertise their tours on our website, and they would do the same for us.
On the third year, we're looking at another concept that you might know, and that's a lottery contest. Basically, we upload to our website and our social medias a product, or a few, that will cost around $30, and you can buy a ticket to enter the chance of winning that product. Each ticket will cost around $5. Our customer is, first of all, you guys. The trays and coaster you're holding are made from special Himalayan cedar wood. And the drawing you're holding are made especially by our artist, Rajanika. On them, there are pictures that represent the village they're living in, and that's what makes them so special, as well as the time that was put into them and all the efforts. So the peacock one, for example, is the symbol of the monsoon months as it calls when they start. And this one, for example, took a week to make because it's so specific and have very small details. As we're yet to be an established NGO, we're thinking it will be easier to start with our own social circle as our first customers. So people we know that we can meet and explain them what our company is all about. That will be friends, maybe distant friends and family. But this customer audience will not only provide us with the push that we need for the start as an NGO, it will also give us a loyal customer audience that will want to come back every time we're having new collections, every time we're helping new people and new communities around the world. But that can last forever. That's why, as we're starting to establish now, but also planning on expanding in the future, our main target audience is adults from the Western area, especially around middle to high class tax.
So our 2 marketing plans that we have now is first, like Adi said, our circle around us, our family and our friends. But what we want to do is make ads. When you invest in us, we're planning to make Facebook and Instagram marketing campaigns. How this works is we want to give $1 a day to Facebook for 30 days in a row, which people would see our ad. 13,000 people would see our ad in 1 month. And only need half of that to actually sell all of our products.
This is based on some of the research that we've done, where we found out that only 1% of people actually see the ad, click on the ad, and buy.
So now we're going to talk about the financials for 2018. So we have a fixed yearly cost, which is annual, and that'll be $7,400.
The reason why this cost exists is because of registration as a non-organization. Salaries such as in-country staff and staff members in the company itself. Also, the website maintenance fees, we need to have someone who will look after the website since we're using Wix as a design platform. Also, marketing, advertising will cost us something, and the provisions is the backup funds that you provide with us just in case anything goes wrong.
So for India, our costs are $1,000. In Japan, our costs are $1,900. And in Spain, the costs are $1,900 as well.
These costs are estimated to be approximately for only the product and shipping costs and nothing much more. Moving on to the revenues for 2018, we have three main revenues, which will be profit from sales, which is our total product revenue, which makes up to about $3,500.
So in every country we go to, we're planning to sell 60 products. So in India, we're going to sell 60 products. In Japan, we're going to sell 60 products. In Spain, we're going to sell 60 products. And so in total, we're going to hope to sell 180 products to make up the $3,500 figure.
Second, we have the estimated donations, as we approximately think that we will get about $1,000 per year.
And this is going to do by our Facebook marketing, our Instagram marketing as well.
And lastly, we have our key activities, which is hashtag $1 for a dump campaigns and etc., which will approximate up to $700 per year.
And then for also local workshop collaboratives.
Which makes up to a total profit of $5,100.
And we will achieve this by hard work and dedication to you guys.
We got the amazing opportunity to visit the Jawar school. We met the families, we met the kids, we learned their games, and we played with them during the recess. And we lost. We failed, and we tried. But we were like 80-year-olds kicked our butts. And then we realized we can't do this alone. We want to make a huge change. And with your investment, by the end of 2018, our company will donate directly to education in communities like Jawar's and others $8,000. We're planning on expanding this number, and just so you know, 3,000 from this number will come directly from your investment, and the other 5 will come from our profits as a company. So the key activities we're doing, the donation, and the sales of product, most important.
Now we're thinking bigger. We want to make sure that this not only reaches to the ears of India, but all the way to the world.
So in the first year, we want to expand to 3 different countries, which would be Spain, Japan, and Greece. We want to take India as a learning experience to better for our other countries. So by the end of the 3rd year, we'd expanded to 7 different countries.
And by the end of 6 years, we will have expanded through 20 countries and impacted 20 communities. How will we do that? In addition to the countries that we travel to, we all come from such diverse places. So in order to impact 20 communities, we can also all go back to our home countries and spread the word and preserve our local cultures and art forms there as well. However, our expansion plan is coming to be more sustainable as the provisions that you provide to us will grow over the years, and that will be used as for the years to come's expenses.
So now that we've given you an overview of what our mission is, what our vision is, and all our goals for the future, we would like to ask you for $15,000 from your CSR. Not to us, but to these people. These people from all the communities that we want to have an impact on. From these people who we know that we can benefit. We can help them, we can help their education, and we can help their community grow. So from you to us, we would really just like your trust. Your trust that you do believe that we can make an impact on these people and the world itself. Deepa, for you specifically, we'd love if you could give us some of your time and a lot of your expertise, if you could help us here on the ground. I would just like to end by saying that with our vision and your resources, together we can create an empowered community with a future filled with opportunities. Thank you very much.
back up a couple of slides? One more? Yeah, stay there. The 8,000. Yeah. Someone talk to me about where this money is coming from.
Okay, so $3,000 of that is part of your $15,000 investment. So $12,000 of your investment will go to cover all.
So that's a donation. I'm not
Yes.
getting anything back.
No, so we're an
It's not
NGO,
an
so
investment.
it would be
It's a
illegal.
donation.
It would be illegal for us to actually get an investment for you guys. So yes, it would be a donation, either a private one or a CSR one.
Okay. So then 5,000 of this you say you will earn.
Yes, through sales.
So this has to be your profit.
Yes.
Right? After all your expenses.
Yes, 100% of our profit goes back into the community.
Okay. So I see here that in your first year you have, in the last month of your first year, $100 of profit. Is that right?
Well, it's based on monthly. It's all monthly.
Yeah, monthly, yes.
Yeah. So if everything added up, in the based on an average product cost of $45, that's what you would see. And that's what.
I don't see a total here, but I can see that in your first year you are not making more than $300 profit. I just want to understand where the 5,000 is going to come from.
So you have to remember.
At the end of what year?
So 2018. So basically, the reason why that profit exists is because since we're an NGO, the money that you gave us, well, if you decide to, the $15,000 will go directly to cover our costs, which means that we actually do not have any more costs. That money will be there, and so we start from zero. So any money that we actually make from the sales or from the donation directly contributes to our profit. So that's why there, from our costs, we're making $100, but because...
No, I'm just saying that at the end of the first year, you, in this, as per your own spreadsheet, have profits of maybe $400 or $500.
Okay, basically how it's the cost structure. Basically, I've divided by each country. So we're going to, as I said previously, we're going to be selling 60 products in each country.
Okay. This is for one country.
No, that's what you're probably looking at is the major yearly, the fixed costs yearly, and that's just based on an average $4 price. But if you look at the other thing, you can see that India, we're making average product price is $36. Yeah, you can pull the It's coming right up.
So at the end of how many? At the end of the first year, you will actually make $5,000 profit.
Yeah,
$5,000. At the end of the first year, from 3 countries.
Yes, from our activities like having local worldly art classes, from our donations, and also from our revenue from the products. We're selling the products.
That was the confusing thing for me. I guess if I was thinking about investing in this, I'd want more of a balance sheet of costs and expenses as opposed to the way that you presented the data. It's a little bit confusing in the sense of, is it sustainable after you've got the initial amount of money?
So you have to remember that we're an NGO. So the way, for example, Color Collection works is not the way we work. They work as a for-profit, we work as an NGO. So any money that is given to us is given to us. We don't give anything back. So that's why it covers our costs. That's why it puts us back at zero, where we don't have to pay anything back. So anything that we make from our sales directly goes to education. And that money that we're making from our sales, our donations and all that, it adds up to a total of $5,000. And so what you see here is our costs. And this is important because all of our costs throughout the entire year adds up to $12,000, which $12,000 of your $15,000 donation will go directly to cover those.
That's my point, is how you maintain sustainability if your costs are exceeding your expenses over years.
Yeah, so that's something that we will discuss, and that's part of our expansion plan. And so it's basically, as we grow as a company, we're not only going to be making $5,000 profit, but we're going to be growing, we're going to be able to cover more and more of it. But we are still, even if we can't completely cover our expenses, we would still ask for the same amount of money, just because you're giving back to these people. You have to remember the people who are behind all of this. Yes, you're giving money, and money is great and everything, but you're really impacting these people's lives, and that's kind of our bottom line here. That's why we're asking for that.
You know, I completely understand that you're a non-profit and you're seeking a donation, and it's perfectly fine to say that your business will. So it's perfectly fine to say that, you know, our expenses we expect to be funded permanently by donations. And I have no objection philosophically to that, but I don't see a fundraising mechanism for donations year after year that you have presented. So that's question number one. And question number two is, of the sales that you are making, I cannot see where so much profit's coming from. So I really, and you have pulled up some spreadsheet and I still cannot see any. So where is the sales? This is an expense sheet. Where is the sales calculation? The business forecast, see down there? So there were two questions. One, how are you going to raise donations as a non-profit? And two, how exactly are these profits being made?
Okay, so for your first question, as we presented, we have the key activities that are supposed to help us raise money and awareness to our organization. Also, in our online website, we are establishing a page for donation that every time you hear about our organization through the key activities that also donates to our organization, you will come there and you have a direct option to donate directly without buying any product.
We're also, as I said, we're selling the 180 products. We're going to source. Basically, I took average figures from each country, meaning how much average product would be cost. So what we were going to sell in Japan, for example, $50 average product, depending on the art. And so we came up with a total for each country and how much we would make per month, and depending on the sales on the internet, when people are buying, for example, the holiday season, people are going to buy more.
To answer your question about how we can possibly get that much profit is because we work to a bare minimum of advertising, and we found out that 1%, which makes up to 132 people out of the 6,000 people that actually see the ad, will actually pick and buy a product. And in June, only in this term, we have 60 products, which means we have more than enough people that will actually buy our products. And by the end of the month, by the end of the year, we will have sold out all of our products. In addition to that, which is why we leave the remaining 62 people who actually come onto the website and will be willing to make a donation.
with a lot of information to process. So we're going to have a 5-minute break, and we're going to come back here to finish up with student presentations of personal projects. If you need to go outside and look at the rest of the project, go to the bathroom, anything you need.
You better stand here because people are moving, they might kick this, you know? Just watch it.
dreams come a lot of cool possibilities. If you, for example, struggle with reoccurring nightmares, you can cure that through lucid dreaming. If you know that it's not real, the monster behind you isn't frightening anyone, you could fight the monster, or you could even talk to it. Other cool things you can do are, for example, if you have a big presentation coming up, you can just simulate that in your dream, and if you have to do a presentation in real life, it's not as frightening anymore. Or ask them questions, they're going to give you. So as there are no physical laws or social conventions, you can do everything in lucid or in a dream. You can fly over a city without help. You can fight Voldemort and recreate your favorite movie. You can move objects just with the power of your mind. You can chill out at the Maldives and just take a little vacation. You can eat as much chocolate cake as you want without gaining a single pound. And you can travel to the Mount Everest within seconds. You can be your favorite childhood hero, or meet a person that you always wanted to but never had the chance to meet. So those are just some examples of what you can do with 1/3 of your life that you would normally do nothing, except sleeping. So, in case some people doubt my sanity now, lucid dreaming has been scientifically proven in 1975 by Keith, I can't pronounce the however, now that we know that lucid dreaming is great and that it actually exists, you might ask, how do I get a lucid dream? So that was also my research question, which is why I created, which is also which is why I created this spreadsheet to collect data on a lot of factors and variables that I thought could influence if I have a lucid dream or not. So the goal of this project was to find a formula with which I could have a lucid dream every single night. I didn't find that formula yet, so I'm going to continue that personal project, but for today I'm just going to give you one of the most common and also one of the easiest lucid dreaming techniques out there. So in general there are two kinds of lucid dreams, dream-initiated lucid dreams and wake-initiated lucid dreams. So in dream-initiated lucid dreams you realize that you're dreaming while you're already dreaming, and in wake-initiated lucid dreams you stay conscious while you fall asleep. So dream-initiated lucid dreams are way easier to have for beginners. So yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about now. If you think about what the difference between a normal dream and a lucid dream is, it's just a question of, is this real? So if you want to ask the question, is this real in a dream, you first have to implement that in your daily life so that you continue that habit during the night. One technique, which is called reality checks, that helps you to constantly ask the question, is this real, in real life during the day. Yeah, it's reality checks. So you might recognize this totem from the movie Inception, if you've watched that. So in the movie, the main character spins the totem, and if it's falling down, it stops moving. He knows it's real life, and if it doesn't, then it's a dream. So you could do that, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that because then you are dependent on an item. There are so many cool reality checks that you can do just with your body. So as you can see in this picture, for example, you can just try to push your finger through your hand. And in real life, that's not going to work. But in a dream, if you believe it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Yeah, which my favorite reality check is to hold your nose and try to breathe through your closed nose. In real life, that's not possible. But in a dream, that's how I reason it for myself. You're paralyzed, so your real body can't move. You can't hold your nose in real life, but your dream body does. So this is how I reason for myself reality is working. So everybody just has to find out what they think is reasonable and what makes sense to them. So yeah, if you do reality checks during the day, ask yourself if this is really reality. There's a high chance that you are going to get a lucid dream. So those were my sources for the video that I showed you. And if you have any questions or want to talk about anything, you can totally ask me after presentations are over. And now for the last few seconds on this stage, I want to challenge every one of you to think of one reason why this at this moment cannot be a dream. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary, to give us something to think about. Now we're gonna have Ava talk about her personal project that was writing a whole novel in 1 month, the month of November. Ava?
Okay.
In 2016, 12% of people won. Winning is only competitive against yourself, and that is if you wrote 50,000 words in November, then you win. 12% is also the acceptance rate to Johns Hopkins, which is a medical university in the States. Quite hard to get into. So the website breaks it down into two kinds of people that write novels or attempt to write novels in the month of November. We have planners and we have pantsies. Planners are in the month called Preptober. You've come with character outlines, you've got character sheets, you've got spreadsheets for every scene that's going to happen. Pantsing is November 1st, you sit down with an idea, maybe, and blink a page. I am a planter, which means I have some of this in place, but a little bit of both. I spent the month of October waiting for an idea to come to me, making character sheets but not being inspired, and then I realized that I had to be in the country to figure out what my novel was going to be. So I'll say a little bit of both. If you're interested in writing 50,000 words in a month anytime soon, then these are some tips that I would recommend. You have to make it a daily habit. I hear horror stories on the internet about people that, maybe wrote 20,000 words and then wrote the last 30,000 in the last week. I don't recommend that. It's really easy to say, I'm not going to write today. I'll just write 2,000 tomorrow and 2,000 the next day. It's a really bad habit to get into. What I would also recommend is starting in the morning. Even if you've just woken up, you're reaching for your laptop and you type out a real quick 100 words, it's a lot easier to start once you've already started. It doesn't feel as big of a task. There's a really cool function on Google Docs. You click up there under Tools and then you can get your word count. What I would recommend is not doing that every 5 minutes. It makes it go a lot slower. And the one thing that became really important to me is to never use contractions again, ever. I actually there's like a find and replace tool, so can't became cannot every single time. And then you write as much as you can with the inspiration that you have that day. If your inspiration takes you the whole way through and then some, that's great. If it takes you to 250 words, that's when you can start to use some really cool tools. This is a website called Fighters on Writers. So that top number there is the amount that I want to write. I could do it in just 1,660 words, or I
top number goes down, and that's when I'm writing. That bottom number, though, is the strength of that egg-looking evil monster. And when I'm not writing, it's as if the monster is attacking me, and when I am writing, I'm winning against the monster. I wouldn't recommend this for academics, but it is really fun to do when you're just pounding out words. So these are statistics gathered through the website that show how I was doing. So that line there on top is what I should have been writing, 1,667 words every day. So as you can see, I made it. Yay. On the 20th, I wrote about 250 words, and it was the day before a big trip, so I just decided, nah. And then what ended up happening is that very next day when I was on the trip, we were in a bus for most of it, so I wrote 2,200 words typing on my phone in a moving bus. So you gotta make a minute. Without, so I edited an excerpt of just the first 500 words that I wrote, just because I love editing, I would say even more than I like writing, and it's such a cool process. We're a little pressed for time, so I'll have it up on my iPad upstairs so you can read it then. I used some really cool tools that I'd like to share with you. There's something called the Hemingway app. You can just Google that. And what it does is it helps you make your writing as clear and as direct as it can possibly be. So you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt when you're using it for creative writing, but if you have an essay that you plug into there, it'll help you really just get to the point, much like Hemingway. So one thing I did with my excerpt, I only wanted it to be 500 words. And I wanted it to have a full scene. A scene, for some authors, everybody's a little different, but a pretty standard way to write a scene is the character's goals. All of the characters in that scene should have a goal, unless they're like a bystander. A conflict, something that makes it harder for them to reach that goal, and then a disaster. They haven't reached the goal, now what? So I formatted my excerpts as setting, the character's goals, the conflict, and I added the stakes. What would go wrong if they didn't meet their goals? And then the disaster. And then after this, in a traditional novel, you'll get a sequel scene, which allows both the readers and the characters to react, and that's reaction, dilemma, decision. And that's how you really get things moving in a novel. These are the learning targets that I was hoping to meet. I don't know if it's been addressed yet today, but learning targets are how students at TGS measure their learning. They can either be a novice, a specialist, or a master at targets. And so I was aiming for specialist at all of these, and I won't go into an insane amount of detail, but I think I hit all of them just by the writing that I was doing. If anyone has any more questions, you can find me when we go upstairs, but this has been my experience. I'm just going to stay up here and introduce our next speakers. The water module in India's Path to Sustainability has been a really collaborative module. And so we worked with students from a local high school called Billabong International High School, and they are going to show us the presentation that they gave to our students on the very first day.
Good morning everyone, we are the students of Billabong International School, and we are going to be showing you a presentation on water sustainability. So let's
Billabong is an Aboriginal word which means a pool left behind after a river or creek changes its course. It also becomes an ecosystem for any organism to grow and develop. In our case, we are the organisms, and our school, Billabong, is our ecosystem. We can grow and develop over there, and we learn many life lessons. Igniting human greatness is our motto. Igniting human greatness in growing children and pre-adults by fostering a love for learning, a talent for thinking, and respect for hard work. Igniting human greatness and empowering a future generation of strong and confident individuals.
believe in providing a safe and secure environment for everybody. We envision an educational system that values wisdom over knowledge, creative thoughts over learning, aspiration over ambition, spirituality over religion, and a united world over a divided one.
Mumbai. Beyond the walls of Billabong is the teeming, bustling city of Mumbai. Also known as the financial capital of India, it has a population of over 22 million people. Almost every day, thousands of migrants and job seekers come to Mumbai in search of a livelihood. This influx of people leads to urbanization and the development of temporary shanty towns and slums. Being one of the life-sustaining forces, water supply and cleanliness is extremely important to the development of the country. However, Mumbai as a city is surrounded by salt water. Hence, it is incredibly hard to get fresh water into the city for the ever-growing population.
Okay, so some statistics regarding the water crisis. Around 738 million people do not have access to potable water. So that's fresh drinking water. 2.4 billion people do not have access to proper sanitation facilities. That means around 1 in 3 people do not have access to proper sanitation facilities. And 1,000 children and infants die every day due to preventable diseases like diarrhea and typhoid. Okay, so Mumbai's water supply. There are 7 main lakes that supply water to Mumbai, and Mumbai also has Asia's first and largest water treatment plant. But despite this, because we have such a large population, it is still a problem.
So where does Mumbai get its water from? Most of the city gets its water from the lakes outside the city. These are lakes Tansa, Upper and Lower Vaitarna, Tulsi, Bhatsa and Vihar. Water challenge 1. Insufficient supply of water. The water is unevenly distributed around the city. Many housing societies get water using tankers, which may be legal or illegal.
In legalized slums, the BMC provides clean, cheap and reliable water, whereas in illegal slums, people rely on a group of people known as the water mafia. They are a group of people who sell unreliable water that was illegally extracted from the ground. Certain NGOs like Waterwala provide clean and reliable water at a cheap price to the inhabitants of the illegal slums. Before you guys start asking questions, illegal slums, the slums are built after the year 2000. This brings us to the next slide, water mafia. The water mafia are a group of people who illegally extract and supply water to the illegal slums built after the year 2000 for profit. The water they sell is unreliable and contaminated, thus it is unhealthy and can be the medium of transport for diseases. Awareness regarding the same needs to be done.
The second challenge is waterborne diseases. Waterborne diseases are diseases that are spread through contaminated water. Some examples are dengue, cholera, dysentery, etc. Around 83% of diseases in Mumbai are waterborne. Waterborne diseases occur mainly in Mumbai because of the following reasons: poor maintenance of water pipelines, mixing of clean and contaminated water because of improper disposal of sewage and solid waste, formation of stagnant water allows mosquitoes to form a breeding ground and therefore spreads malaria, heavy monsoon and frequent water logging in the city.
What is being done? NGOs that are dealing with water problems include Waterwala, WaterAid India and Habitat for Humanity.
The government initiatives taken are the Chief Minister of Maharashtra is planning to ensure that the sewage water, which is currently not treated before it's discharged into sea, gets purified. The Indian Railways plan to start reviving approximately 1,500 water bodies in the premises of the railway lands, which are in various stages of drying up.
Issues related to clean water supply across the world. The right to water, water and security, water sanitation and hygiene, unclean water and child mortality. What we do at Billabong.
The Green School Program Audit, Grade 6. This program is focused on calculating the water usage of our school, creating an awareness of the amount of water we use every month, the sanitation of water, and how we at the school are trying to reduce our wastage of water. Beach Cleanup Drive, Grade 8. Marine pollution is a huge problem for the world, especially for India, which has the most polluted coasts and beaches, especially Juhu Beach, which had the highest quantity of microplastics, 58.33%. Our school cleared up a sea of garbage on Children's Day.
Sonabe, Grade 8. So Sonabe is a village that's located just outside Maharashtra, and it doesn't have much access to fresh water and drinking water. So our school set up food stalls and were able to raise more than 12,000 rupees. That was more than enough to buy a water purifier for the village. And the NDTV Better India campaign. This campaign was started in March 2017 and was divided into 3 segments. The first one was about dengue. Dengue is a disease that is spread in water. The carriers spread in pools of stagnant water, which is not common because of the heavy monsoons here in Mumbai. Our role was to go to every person on the streets and educate them about dengue and spread awareness. We also had to collect money so that we could provide underprivileged children with dengue prevention kits. Thank you.
So before we go upstairs and see another personal project from students, we're gonna give some thank you certificates and thanks to people that have continuously been helping us through our time in TDS the 7 weeks. So if the person or a representative from the organization that we're naming could come up to receive it really fast. We're trying to make this the fastest possible to finish in the bond.
Paolo will announce them, and then you can come over to the side by me and I will handle it.
Okay, so first one we want to thank Eva and the Magic. Is there someone representing Reality Tours? Thank you so much for helping with the Then, Pratish, our yoga instructor, thank you for helping us. I don't think he's here right now, but attention's what counts. Then, Sagar, our post-study specialist. Oh, this would not be you. Okay. Then we have, is there any representative from Executive Enclave? It's been our home for the past 2 months, but there's no one here.
Busy cleaning all your rooms. Busy cleaning rooms.
Shishiban School that helped us get our visas and be able to be here. I don't know if there's someone representing pushing them? Okay. And Billabong School. The sustainability module has been working really closely with Billabong students to create the infographics that you can see later outside if you haven't seen them yet. And they taught us a lot. This presentation was just a little bit of all we learned together.
That's all I did so they could give it to me again.
If you guys could take a seat, and then we'll have one last student presenting to us today. Down here. Waiting, stalling. And I said something really interesting. There are some technical problems. Sorry, taking longer than expected.
There's just a camera people watching at home, otherwise you're just in the way. You don't mind it. Yeah, sure. I'm so sorry. Thank you. One more award, please. One more.
Everybody knows about technology. I want to take a second to thank the teachers because I believe that's something that should come from the students. So to each and every teacher and facilitator that's put in time into making our experiences be a really great, and for dealing with us, for moody teenagers, we can't escape that little bit there. So thank you so much for tolerating us and helping us and pushing us to make some of the great presentations that you saw there.
Very ancient transgender society of India. And in the next slide, we're going to show you a short video of my final product. So that was that. If you want to find out more about it, you can later on go up there to the third floor and find out like the meaning behind it and all those stuff. And next slide. So using T-spline. T-spline is 80% of my work. It's basically about manipulating edges, points, and faces in order to get the design that you want. And so how do I manipulate this? It's pretty simple. You just have to push, pull, drag, rotate, expand, narrow, insert edge, all this stuff. It's pretty easy, actually. So the next part is demonstration of how to create a jaguar face in a short amount of time. So you start off with this quad ball. It's a nice little quad ball. And you pull out the muzzle part of the jaguar face and then push in the eye hole of the jaguar. and then narrow it down so that it gets more realistic feature. This part is the biggest part. You have to insert edges, drag points, rotate it, push it in, like just to give more details to the Jaguar face. This is a side view of Jaguar face. It really looks like a Jaguar. And then last thing you have to do is pull up ears if you want ears. And then the very last part is to narrow down the ears so that it's more pointier. Done. After you're done, there's still like a few more steps that you have to go through. First, you have to check if there's any error, because if there's any lines intersecting by itself, or if there's any topographic matter, it can't be printed. So you really have to make sure that there's no error. And then save it as STL file, which is the type of file format for 3D printing. And then send it to printing facility, get it back, and appreciate your work. Complexity is nothing more than a collection of simplicities. A good thing about Fusion 360 is that you can make a very complex, fancy model just by repeating simple procedures. And that's why you should try it as well. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your time.
Thank you, Zoe. That seemed easy. Now we're going to have a few minutes to go outside, look at the infographics and the pictures from 0 to infinity. And at 4:20, we're going to meet upstairs in the 3rd floor. To get upstairs, you can come inside the bookstore through that door at the right, at the back of the room. And there you go up the stairs, 3 floors. And we'll see you there. There's going to be people guiding you around. See you there at 4:20.
Thank you.